What if I told you that there exists a single book that holds the secrets of the ancient mystery schools, alchemy, astrology, Freemasonry, and esoteric wisdom? A book so powerful that it has influenced countless seekers of hidden knowledge for nearly a century? This book is The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and its author, Manly P. Hall, is one of the most enigmatic figures in the world of mysticism. Welcome to Mystic Realms, where we uncover the hidden truths of the esoteric world. Born in 1901 in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, Manly P. Hall was not a conventional scholar. He was a seeker, a visionary, and a mystic driven by an unquenchable thirst for wisdom. Raised in a time when spiritual exploration often ran counter to mainstream thought, Hall carved his own path, delving deep into the forgotten corners of ancient philosophy, occult traditions, and spiritual sciences. From a young age, he exhibited an extraordinary fascination with the mysteries of existence, the nature of the soul, the unseen forces that shape reality, and the symbolic language encoded in myths, rituals, and sacred texts. Without formal academic training, Hall taught himself, guided by intuition and a profound inner calling. He traveled extensively, studied hundreds of rare manuscripts, and absorbed teachings from a wide array of cultures: Egyptian hieroglyphs, Greek mystery schools, Eastern philosophies, Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Kabbalah, and Hermeticism. He believed that behind all the world's religions and philosophies lay a universal truth, a perennial wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. The Secret Teachings of All Ages. By 1928, at the age of only 27, Manly P. Hall unveiled what would become his magnum opus, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, an encyclopedic outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Rosicrucian symbolical philosophy. This was not just a book. It was a monumental spiritual artifact. Over 700 pages, meticulously researched and adorned with ornate illustrations by artist J. Augustus Knapp, the work served as a gateway into the esoteric philosophies of antiquity. Hall synthesized complex teachings and made them accessible to seekers around the world. Every chapter opened a new door: the symbolism of ancient temples and pyramids, the inner meanings of alchemical transformation, the rites of initiation in secret societies, the celestial mysteries of astrology, the spiritual architecture of sacred geometry. It was, and still is, a treasure map for those who wish to decode the hidden spiritual architecture of the universe. The cover itself is a tapestry of symbols, a visual cipher, featuring mythological figures, alchemical emblems, and ancient scripts. The golden tones and intricate borders seem to glow, inviting the viewer to step into a world where knowledge is sacred and symbols are keys to higher consciousness. As the pages begin to turn, we glimpse ancient diagrams, mystical sigils, and vivid interpretations of cosmic truths, each illustration a mirror reflecting the soul's journey toward enlightenment. The Secret Teachings of All Ages is far more than a book. It is a spiritual atlas, a vault of esoteric treasures, and a map to the soul's awakening. Manly P. Hall didn't merely write about ancient wisdom. He meticulously curated and synthesized it into one of the most comprehensive and visually captivating compendiums of occult philosophy ever published. Within its pages lies a vast universe of knowledge, spanning across time, cultures, and mystical traditions. Each chapter is like a key, unlocking the doors to secrets long buried beneath the sands of history and the symbols of forgotten temples. Hall dives into topics that have fascinated mystics, philosophers, and seekers for millennia. The lost wisdom of Atlantis and the ancient world. Hall explores the idea that ancient civilizations, Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt, possessed profound spiritual and scientific knowledge, now obscured by time. He suggests that these cultures were in harmony with universal laws and cosmic forces, and that echoes of their teachings survive in sacred texts and myths across the globe. The symbolism of secret societies. Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, the Knights Templar. Hall delves into the ritualistic language, allegories, and initiatory symbolism that form the spiritual backbone of these mysterious orders. He interprets their hidden meanings not as mere historical curiosities, but as living metaphors for the journey of the soul toward illumination. The hidden meaning behind religious and mythological symbols. From the Egyptian Ankh to the Christian cross, from the myth of Prometheus to the story of the Garden of Eden, Hall reveals how religious icons and legends often contain esoteric codes, representing universal archetypes and deeper truths about the nature of consciousness and divinity. Alchemy, astrology, and sacred geometry. Far from being mere superstition, Hall presents alchemy as a spiritual science, a symbolic path of transformation and inner purification. Astrology, he argues, reflects the interplay between celestial forces and human destiny, and sacred geometry becomes a divine language, illustrating how the universe is structured according to hidden patterns of balance and proportion. A guide for the true seeker. Hall believed that the ancient wisdom traditions were not lost, but intentionally veiled, preserved in allegory and symbol, so that only those with the eyes to see and the heart to seek could rediscover them. His book serves as a lantern for the initiate, illuminating the path through the labyrinth of mystery teachings. It's not merely about information, it's about initiation. The pages of the secret teachings are designed to awaken the reader's intuitive understanding, encouraging them to look beyond the literal and perceive the invisible threads connecting the spiritual and material realms. For Hall, knowledge was sacred, not meant for idle curiosity, but for transformation of consciousness. He envisioned the reader not as a passive observer, but as a pilgrim on a journey toward gnosis, enlightenment, and the realization of the divine self. Manly P. Hall's fascination with Freemasonry ran far deeper than an academic interest. It was a spiritual calling. To Hall, Freemasonry was not simply a fraternal order bound by tradition and ritual. It was a living vessel of ancient, esoteric wisdom, passed down through symbolic language and sacred rites. In 1954, after decades of exploring and writing about Masonic symbolism, Hall was formally initiated into the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. His dedication and contributions to the philosophical understanding of the craft were so profound that he was eventually awarded the 33rd degree, an honorary distinction that represents the highest level of recognition in the Scottish Rite, reserved for those who have made exceptional contributions to humanity and the Masonic tradition. But Hall's interest in Freemasonry long preceded his formal initiation. In fact, much of his early work, particularly the secret teachings of all ages, was already saturated with deep Masonic symbolism, showing his reverence for the craft's inner meanings. He viewed Freemasonry not merely as an organization, but as the modern inheritor of the ancient mystery schools, spiritual lineages that stretched back to Egypt, Greece, Babylon, and beyond. Freemasonry as a spiritual path. So, what exactly drew Hall to Freemasonry with such passion? To him, Freemasonry was a spiritual science, a symbolic system designed to elevate the initiate's mind, purify the heart, and illuminate the soul. He saw its rituals, tools, and degrees not as arbitrary traditions, but as coded allegories for inner transformation, a symbolic language that, when properly understood, offered guidance on the path to self-mastery, ethical living, and cosmic understanding. The square and compass, for example, represented the balance between matter and spirit. The blazing star symbolized divine illumination. The raising of the Master Mason was not just a ritual, it was a metaphor for spiritual resurrection, the awakening of the higher self from the slumber of ignorance. Hall often emphasized that true Freemasonry is not practiced with the hands, but with the soul. It is not merely a club or society. It is a mystic journey, an inner process of refining one's character, deepening one's understanding of the cosmos, and ultimately aligning with the divine order of the universe. Keeper of the Flame. Through his lectures and writings, Hall positioned himself as a bridge between traditional Masonry and the broader spiritual community. He translated Masonic symbolism for the modern seeker, showing how its ancient teachings could still serve as a guide to personal enlightenment and collective evolution. To Hall, Freemasonry was one of the last surviving fragments of an age-old wisdom tradition, a keeper of the flame, preserving sacred truths in symbolic form, awaiting rediscovery by those with the wisdom to interpret them. Manly P. Hall dedicated his entire life to the exploration, preservation, and dissemination of esoteric knowledge. He was not merely a writer or lecturer. He was a spiritual teacher, a philosopher in the truest sense of the word, a lover of wisdom. Over the course of more than 6 decades, Hall delivered thousands of public lectures, authored over 150 books and essays, and reached countless seekers through his profound insights into the hidden traditions of the world. Driven by a mission to uplift human consciousness, Hall traversed the realms of comparative religion, symbology, mysticism, metaphysics, and ancient philosophy, weaving them together into a coherent spiritual framework that still resonates with readers today. What do you think about Manly P. Hall's teachings? Have you read The Secret Teachings of All Ages? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden realms of wisdom, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more esoteric content. Until next time, keep seeking the truth.